Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Arctic. We are currently at 67 degrees above the Arctic Circle. It's dark, and it's cold, and outside, a storm is testing nature's limits. And at the very same time, 20,000 people gather on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, humbly welcoming the world onto their stage. They're celebrating the opening of Bodø 2024, the first European capital of culture in the region. The start of something big, an estimated budget of 30 million euros and 1,000 events spanning throughout a whole year. Record turnovers for restaurants and local businesses. I mean, come on, what a night. Sounds quite fabulous, right? Well, I can tell you that wasn't always the case. For years, the project faced real challenges. Many locals didn't understand what being a European capital of culture really meant, or why it should matter to them. Public debates questioned whether spending millions on cultural events was the right thing to do during times of pandemic and war and inflation. And this wasn't unique to us. Anyone who's ever worked on a European Capital of Culture project knows this challenge, how hard it can be to communicate what the project truly means, and the struggle to make people feel included. And it was frustrating, because preparing was never just about the upcoming events. It was deeply rooted in a motivation to boost community development, a chance to redefine how outsiders saw our Arctic culture. So, in the midst of all the bad publicities and harsh criticisms, I began to ask myself, how can I make people believe in something they still can't see? How can I inspire an entire community to believe that the story that we're about to tell the world is their own? And maybe you guys have faced something similar, a moment when you needed others to believe in an idea before it was real? And that's when it dawned on me. If people aren't part of the story, they'll never believe it's theirs. So once we as an organization could start to map out dates on our mega events, we invited in all relevant parties, big and small. We then had project managers for the big events present and tell what they needed exactly to help them with. We held skill-building workshops, presented ideas, and suggested collaborations. And for many, this was the first time they talked to others in the hospitality sector, ensuring important networking. And then we did it all again, new locations, new projects, more skill building, more ideas. And the hospitality started to present their own ideas, inspiring others to do the same. And then we did it again, again, and again. And slowly but surely strengthening our hospitality sector step by step. And little by little, the Arctic kind of found its own voice. But hospitality isn't really new here. People have been living in the Arctic for more than 10,000 years. Here, life is shaped by wild nature, and even in a digital age, it still influences our rhythm, our temperament, and who we are. The Sami people, for example, have been practicing it for centuries, rooted in natural instincts and means of survival. I was reminded of this years ago, actually, traveling in the Gobi Desert in Mongolia. There, nomad families opened their homes and hearts to me as a complete stranger, offering warmth, food, and stories under the open sky. And what struck me was how familiar it all felt. That same spirit of generosity, of caring for one another in harsh conditions, is what really defines life here in the Arctic too. And all I know is that those days in the desert taught me that hospitality isn't about comfort or luxury. It's about connection. and the courage to open your doors to others. But back to the Arctic and the Capital of Culture project. So we were starting to build the right infrastructure for all the visitors of the year when an even bigger question popped up. How were we really to connect with Europe? What was the branding? We wanted to show you our lives. Who were we? A soon-to-be new NATO base, new airport, and a society in rapid development? This work wasn't just about exposure. It was about creating the right narrative. And all this work with our community, it was not charity. It turned out to be a powerful communication strategy because how often do we confuse hospitality with kindness when in fact it can be one of the most powerful strategies for growth? But then you ask, or you can ask, what kind of impact does this kind of cultural project really have on society and businesses? Well, I had several of them approach me at these workshops, stating that they never believed our prognosis and then that this was all crazy. But I stood my ground, and the numbers speak for themselves. Some are a best case scenario, but the truth is, if you work in hospitality and these numbers don't affect you, then you, my dear, are living under a rock. So, along the way, this hospitality approach we built for Bodø 2024 was later shared with other European capitals of culture as best practice. But the real success was never the model. It was the mindset. And this is where you guys come in. Because the lessons we learn in the Arctic applies anywhere. No matter your field, culture, business, education, you can use the same principles. Invite early, people support what they help build. Listen deeply. Every complaint hides a clue. Celebrate progress. It keeps the energy alive. And the Arctic may seem remote, but the message is universal. When we welcome others, we are reminded of who we are. In the end, we don't build belonging through grand projects. We build it through everyday acts of openness, trust, and curiosity. Articulating the Arctic. And even with the challenges that we face up here, our way of thriving, coming from hardship, can hopefully be an inspiration to you. Maybe the Arctic even has an important lesson to share with the world today, that in times of division and uncertainty, our greatest strength still lies in how we welcome, include, and stand together. And remember, even in the coldest of places, there is always warmth to be found. Thank you.